What's going on, everyone? So welcome to my latest video. This is, of course, my review for the 2012 film, The Dark Knight Rises. So The Dark Knight Rises is a film that came out in July of 2012. It was a film that was very much so hyped because of, obviously, The Dark Knight being one of the greatest superhero films of all time. In my opinion, the greatest. But The Dark Knight Rises, I'll never forget being really pumped to see this movie. I ended up seeing it 4 times in theaters, and then, of course, I bought it on DVD, upgraded it then years later to Blu-ray, and then finally upgraded it to 4K Black Friday of 2019. And I'm glad that I did because I got it for $10 and it came with a slipcover and everything, which for all you collectors out there, such as myself, you know slipcovers are amazing. But anyways, yeah, The Dark Knight Rises, I loved it. The first time I saw it and every single time after. There hasn't been a single time where I watched it and I said to myself, yeah, I don't like this. Every single time, it really kind of proves to me that, yes, this is what a blockbuster should be. I know a lot of people that give this movie flack in terms of your everyday people, and I think that it stinks because, you know, if you look online, you know, you got Rotten Tomatoes, you got Metacritic, you got all these critic websites, and they praise it when it first came out, and there's still praise for this movie, for sure. But I just feel like with audiences, a lot of people are like, oh, plot hole, and it's like, a lot of people I just feel like don't understand that there's a difference between plot hole and something that has already been established in the world, but you just disagree with it, and you think that because in our world it might be a bit different, that in this world it also has to be, like, you know, different. And it's like, that's not the case, you know. And I really do think that people don't understand what plot hole actually means. But I will say this: is this movie perfect? No, and I will get into that in the negatives, but I wanted to talk about the positives because there are so many positives about this film. For one, it's shot on film, so the cinematography is just absolutely gorgeous. It is incredibly well filmed. I absolutely love the usage of color, the lighting, the camera work. Oh my goodness, the camera work, especially during the action scenes like the stock exchange scene. I love it. I love how it's constantly moving, you know, doing like a 360 shot. It's really good stuff. I love it. And especially on 4K, absolutely stunning stuff. The score by Hans Zimmer and Junkie XL also is just really stellar, honestly. It's very epic, and it really matches the scope of this movie because this movie is honestly almost like a war film. It's very epic in scope, but at the same time, it's also very personal with some of the things that are going on, and particularly with Bruce Wayne, played by, obviously, Christian Bale. Now, Christian Bale is a character that, let's face it, in terms of these movies, you have Batman Begins where he was at the forefront, but Dark Knight, he kind of took a back seat, and it was mostly Batman. But I will say that that was fine because, again, that movie is excellent, and it was obviously about the fight for Gotham. This is kind of like a different thing. It's a more, you know, older Batman, so he himself also has to face his demons and his past. And I think that this film, dealing with all that whilst at the same time dealing with the scale of everything, was really good stuff, honestly. And I feel like in a world where, you know, there's like a sky beam in the sky every time there's a superhero movie, and it's like, you know, the end of the world is going to happen. I think the fact that it's such a smaller scale in terms of like, hey, you need to do this, otherwise just the city, this will happen. Not like, oh my goodness, the entire world. So I think that it's interesting, and I think that it makes for a more ambitious kind of ride. Now, I will say I do think that the film could have been a bit more ambitious in the third act, but I will say that nonetheless, it's still a very satisfying third act. I mean, this is a film that has finality to it, and you can't really say that about blockbusters these days. In fact, a lot of times movies can't really stand on their own. They have to have, or it's like, oh, we're setting up 3 other movies and we're going to have a spinoff, and it's like, bro, stand on your own, please. Holy cow. But then you look at Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, and each one does stand on their own. And that's what I love about The Dark Knight Rises. There is finality to all this, and it's very emotional. The last 5 minutes in particular, I think that are really good stuff. Gives me goosebumps each time, honestly, and I think that is very satisfying in that front. But the other thing I wanted to mention is not even just the filmmaking and everything. I think that's just the cast. I mean, you have Gary Oldman as Commissioner Gordon. You have, obviously, Tom Hardy as Bane. You have Anne Hathaway as Catwoman. Like, these are actors that are incredible, and they do such a great job, honestly, with these roles. I know a lot of people don't like Anne Hathaway for some reason, but I personally thought she did a good job in this movie. I thought that she gave a lot of levity to certain scenes that really were needed, and I really liked it. But the other thing is that I know that there are some people that aren't the biggest fans of the choreography of the action scenes, and I will say that there were a couple times where you can kind of see that they were missed punches. In particular, the balcony scene, you know, involving like Catwoman and Batman like fighting the goons. But besides that, I think the choreography is honestly really good. Very intense, very much so having wide-angle shots. close-up shots when needed, but it's very smooth and everything, and I think that it's really good stuff. But I think in particular, the scenes with Batman and Bane fighting, those scenes I think were really, really good. I especially like the first time that they fought, because the first time they fought, there wasn't any music, so it felt more gritty, more visceral, and I think that it really honestly helped with the impact of what the story was going for during these moments. Now, again, I know this movie came out 10 years ago, but I'm still not going to spoil anything. This is still going to be a movie that I'm just talking, very vaguely about, because I know some people out there that haven't seen this movie for some reason. I do know that there are some people that did end the series after The Dark Knight because they're like, well, Heath Ledger's not in the next entry, so what's the point? And I say that the point is that it's finality. It's giving you that satisfaction of what's going on with the characters after the effects, the ripple effect of The Dark Knight. And I personally, for one, really liked what was going on. Now, in terms of negatives, here's some things that I will talk about. Talia's death, I think, is one of the worst blockbuster deaths I've seen. It's bad. It's really bad. It's bad. It lives up to how bad it is. Like, no joke. Like, the character literally does this. And it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, I can say the name because people don't know who this character is, like, because it's a reveal. But I just really wasn't a fan of that death. I was like, of all ways to end this character, really? That's it? It just, I don't know. It just really was something that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Also, the character of Blake, I love Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character. I really do. I think his character is quite fascinating. But how the character of Blake knows the identity of Batman, I think is a big, big stretch. No two ways about it. Like, oh, it's a look. And I was like, what? It's a look? That's how you found out this character was this? I don't know. For me, it just felt like they were really on thin ice, if you will. But besides that, there was also a couple edits here and there. Like, there's one character that, towards the end of the movie, is in, like, 3 different places, despite being moved to one place, but then they're in another. And I'm like, this is just jumbled up in terms of, like, that character being at certain places at certain times. But besides that, I think that this movie is very strong. Again, it's a movie that makes you feel. And in a world of blockbusters that feel lifeless and soulless, it's very much so appealing for me personally to watch The Dark Knight Rises. I put it in and I know that I'm going to be getting an experience that I don't really get too often from blockbusters as of late. It's kind of insane how much has changed in the last 10 years in terms of blockbusters. I mean, blockbusters aren't shot on film anymore. Blockbusters have to set up sequels. Blockbusters have to have a formula. They have to have it where it's like A to B to C. They have to be. There can't be any ambition or anything. So it's saddening, though, but at the same time, because this is the way blockbusters are nowadays. Every now and then a movie will squeak by that is actually, none of those things, such as like The Dark Knight Rises. But the reality is that The Dark Knight Rises is a dying breed of a blockbuster. And I gotta say, it gave some finality, as I mentioned 60,000 times now. It gave some finality. It was very satisfying. It's great filmmaking. It does have some flaws here and there, but I gotta say, as a film ending this franchise, I very much so liked it, and it also stands on its own, and that's why The Dark Knight Rises, I personally will be giving a... But yeah, guys, those are my thoughts, obviously, on The Dark Knight Rises. I know I'm probably going to get some hate in the comment section in regards to this movie because, fans. It's the worst Batman movie since Batman and Robin. Yeah, okay. But let me know your thoughts, guys, in the comment section down below. And maybe I'll plug in. I did a video like 5-6 years ago on how I think The Dark Knight Rises should have ended. And I still kind of stand by that because it would have been interesting. But maybe I'll put that down in the comment section. But anyways, again, let me know your guys' thoughts, guys, down below. And as always, thank you very much for watching with the subscription, notification bell, and I'll catch you guys later.